All right, I think we're live now. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. This is my first time doing a public portfolio review. We have 6 people who submitted, and I'll be going through it one by one on the left here. And making work is hard, and putting it publicly is even harder. So a huge thank you to all those who submitted and are willing to receive feedback or thoughts through this forum. Um, I'll do my best to focus on what your goal is and my thoughts regarding your portfolio. In general, I think a portfolio has a lot of different purposes, and sometimes we give a little too much weight to it. Um, A portfolio can be a good way for people to first be introduced to you. Could be to get your foot in the door for an interview, and it could be that you have interviews scheduled, and it's kind of for the people who are interviewing you, it's their first impression. But it's definitely not everything. Like the way you perform in the interview, the way you synergize with the team, that's definitely much more important. But portfolios can be fun. It's a outward reflection of how you see yourself, and we're always trying to make it get better. I myself try and update my portfolio once a year, and I usually try and get feedback from a bunch of friends. Maybe doing it through a YouTube stream and getting feedback from you would be a fun way to do it as well. Um, the other thing I'll note is this is just my perspective. So if this is one of your portfolios that I'm reviewing, if I say something valuable, you can take it. But if you don't like what I said, feel free to throw it out. Everyone has their own opinion, and uh, if you believe in something, don't let someone else's opinion sway what you think. And I guess the last thing I'll note is I'll try and keep each person under 10 minutes. And I'll also try and look at the chat at least once per person in case someone's asking a question. But yeah, let's just begin. The first person, their name is Jiacheng Yang, and they go by Leo on the internet. So over here I have their Twitter handle, their name, and then their goal. So I basically asked everyone, what's your goal? What are you trying to improve? What do you want feedback on? So Jiacheng asked or said, my goal is to work in the AR VR space and create experience or tools to extend people's capabilities. All right. So I'm going to just give it a quick scroll. In general, I like how clean it is already. VR AR designer prototyper, creating playful and delightful experiences through immersive technology. On my way, learning and practicing VR design, UX for digital product, design systems, and rapid prototyping. So I think in terms of what you told me your goal is and what you're initially communicating is super on point. And this image is just awesome. AR sword fighting game. Imagine how mobile VR can improve distance relationship. Story of how 5 students grew together as a team. That's freaking awesome. I love how fun this is. I think there's a lot of AR apps in portfolios that they tend to look very clean and to me bland. So I love how you're just mashing things together, because to me that's part of the beauty with AR, mixing real world, and you have some pixel art, you have some low poly, some higher poly. I don't know. I just think it's an awesome image and a nice way to like introduce yourself. So in general, I like what I'm seeing. VR and 3D design. Got a cool spaceman and a crystal. Dive into virtual reality, prototyping tilt brush pieces, VR app concept, and more. Follow my journey into the world. Little World, distance relationship, another distance relationship app. Imagine how mobile VR can improve distance relationship. Story of how 5 students grew together. So I think it's pretty cool that it seems there is a subject matter already that ties some of your projects together that you're really into this idea of how people are connected to each other, or the social aspect of using VR or AR. The future, design education, designing, planning, and building the future.com, Future Academy for the next generation of design education. That's cool. If you don't know and you're watching this, the future is another design channel on YouTube. I feel like there's not many design channels on YouTube, so definitely check it out. I think there's a lot of videos that Chris Do has that are pretty fun or educational. Story Forever, Stories in LA, reimagine how people interact with the Hollywood Forever Cemetery and the rich Hollywood culture it represents. Project Archive, cool. We got a footer, and we have this thing. I do enjoy pineapple. It's kind of a fun idea. All right, so let's get into it. So as someone who's potentially interviewing or checking you out for the first time, I would basically just do what I did, but a little bit quicker. I would have scrolled through, read a little bit quicker. And then I'd always click on the first project. So I'm noticing, oh, there we go. I need to click on the text. So yeah, first thing I would do is make sure that whole thumbnail is clickable instead of just the text. AR sword fight. We got some cool Unity, probably visual effects. Week AR class. Worked with 2 other folks. Gameplay. I don't want to do more portfolio reviews just because it's so fun to see your work. Cool. So we got QR codes or AR tracker markers, and it's cool that the objects are interacting with each other. I think in general you see a lot of AR apps where things are just placed in space. So it's cool to see you actually making it more interactive or more engaging with each other. We got your hero images. I'm not sure what this thing is on the right here. I think your hero images are fun already, that you probably don't need this volume bar. Inspired by Sword Art Online, great anime, we had pretty cool. So I love this. This is a dope project. So I think my initial reaction would be, I'm gonna just mute this so I can.
Is in the bed. Okay, say something epic.
Yo, 吃个
The bed is gone.
Oh my god, this is just so cool. I mean, honestly, from what I see already, like you saying that you want to work in the AR VR space, I think you're doing a lot more than what other folks have done, and I don't think you'll have a problem getting a job in that space.
Oh, look at the sword.
All right.
Maybe we can have some like.
Okay. I'm gonna just keep going quickly because I don't want to take up too much time so we can get to other people too. VR 3D design. HMD concept. Yeah, I took a look at this a little bit earlier. So I think there's a lot of interesting things here. What if there is a headset with a outside display? So we got Teenage Engineering logo, super dope company. I assume this is a concept video. It's not something actually collaborating with them. That's cool. So some eyeballs on the outside there. this is. I guess before. Oh, this is pretty dope. So I think this is super dope concept. It's cool that it's based on real prototypes that you made as well. Let's see. And assume this is in the wrong section, cause I guess the thumbnail is wrong. Okay. Twitch VR. I guess this is multiple projects in one. Okay, yeah. So we have some. I guess the first one is some headset concept, then tilt brush drawings, and then prototype workflow focus. Kind of curious about this too.
Night sky.
Space only for you. Guided meditation. Personal experience. 3D design works. Again, this like splash image is wrong, but I assume that's just like the video provider you're using. I love the caustics over here. It's super dope. So 3D design workflows. Okay, so I think I think your portfolio is super dope, and you have some really interesting and new ideas in here that really come through. I don't think you're gonna have any trouble finding a job. If you're watching this stream and you do that type of work, definitely check out Jiacheng Yang, and maybe you can get connected to someone through here. If I were to give you like specific feedback, like in general, I think people consume video content really quickly now, and like I would just shorten up the cuts on your videos. So I think on most frames, I think you hang on it a little too long, especially like this frame is like, I don't know how many seconds, it's like 20 seconds, and visually not much is happening. So I would just like shorten this up. I personally try and make sure all my videos or all my concepts are under 1 minute. I found people just don't have the attention span. And if you're in a rush or you're about to like jump in an interview with you, people are gonna be, okay, let me mute it. People will be clicking around really quickly, and then they may miss the actual concept or the thing that you want to show. And yeah, like spinning on this turntable, I think is a little too long. I get it is a cool video with the music and whatnot. Yeah, I guess the other feedback I would say is like visual design wise, like Teenage Engineering is such a visually design focused company that I think like aesthetically there's some mismatch in terms of, if I were to imagine this to be a Teenage Engineering product, I would at least take some of the colorways that they use. But in general, I think the thing you're selling isn't like the actual HMD design, but it's the concept, it's the thinking, and I think you really cut through and gave that. So these are like nitpicks from me. These are pretty cool. Yeah, I think in general, your portfolio is pretty dope, and I think it gets what you're looking for. So overall, I think you got everything going for you. It's just finding the right opportunity probably, and we all are like trying to get better every day. So thank you for sharing, Leo or Jiacheng. Let's move on to Andrew Johnson. Okay, here's Andrew. Okay, so we have some colors going on. We have some nice typography, some nice big type. These portfolios are so fun to look at. All right, so I'm basically always I'm gonna click on the first one. In general, I'll probably do like the first 3 projects for everyone. Um, I think that's the tendency anyway for folks looking at things. Okay, mem place. How can we use our physical environment to improve our recollection of things that are important to us? Take a walk, take some time, read a chapter. Mem Place is an iPhone app for leaving short notes around your space based on Memory Palace technique. I love the Memory Palace. The app lets you spatially organize things to help jog your memory. What was I thinking again? Cool. We got some in Unity animation. It's looking pretty good. The camera preview seems to have like a background culling issue, but in here it's super, super nice. Drawing from UI approach, outline, memory, IO, for tether interaction to tie quick 2D controls. Actually, maybe I should be reading this out loud. I don't know if in the stream you can actually read the text or not. Cool. It's basically just saying Andrew went through a bunch of different iterations to learn how to do this correctly. That's cool. Simple. Placing it. It's kind of interesting, like this anchor point that's latched onto the bottom. I would, in an interview, like if we had time, I'd ask questions like how would you deal with, let's say, if you had 10 notes, how do you deal with multiple anchors in there? Also, I forgot to read what Andrew's intention was, so let's read that. Would love to design more XR interfaces, products, and systems at a large company. Any feedback would be rad. Roast me. Okay. So, because you said roast me, I'll try and be a little tougher on you or critical. I think this is a pretty dope concept, though. I think there's something interesting about that anchor piece that you have. It'd be kind of fun to see more explorations on how to achieve that. I guess this is one of them. So I assume you swipe left and right here to toggle between the different ones, and then it directs you to it. In general, for AR mobile apps, I think this screen space interface is the right approach to do things in world space. But if you have like any UI that you need to click, screen space is the best. Having a button in situation in the world is like a pain to move your arm/phone to and then like click on the virtual object. So I like how you're bringing that into screen space. World mapping status. I feel like actually Andrew and Jiacheng should talk to each other and start a company. You guys are both pretty awesome in this space. Place. Use your surroundings. Place. I'm looking download the app on iOS. Congrats, dude. Launching something. It's super admirable. Cool. I like that you launched something with an actual launch, not just a project. You always learn stuff that goes beyond. So I think like in an interview you could shine on some of that stuff. Medium design. How might we help readers on Medium encourage writers with valuable feedback while bringing them closer to their interests? 3 weeks, small product team. Okay. Projects are currently underway. Oh, I don't know. I assume the lock means it's private right now. I guess my general take is if you can't actually, like, I would show a little bit more of this. Seems like kind of an important project for you, and I assume a lot of stuff is under NDA. So I'd either like figure out what you can show or just remove this as a project until you're allowed to show something. But I guess there's some value in showing, oh, you've worked with this known brand, and a real product team that shows experience with collaborating in an office environment. Virtuoso XR. How might we better teach musical rhythm by taking advantage of spatial tactile feedback? This is cool. So I think honestly, everything you're doing is pretty impressive. I like the process. I like the Unity screenshots. I'm gonna do one more and then I'll try and give you some nitpicky feedback. So it looks like you have a camera and you're doing some sort of image threshold to drive a depth map or changing a mesh. Cool. Okay. So I'm gonna give you some feedback since you did say roast me. I think in general your site is very nice. Let's see. Okay, so work tab is the exact same. It's just a different layout. Yeah, I think the only thing I'd note is just to I think prototyping things is difficult and making new interactions is difficult, as well as unique concepts. I think you honestly have all that. The thing I would suggest maybe working on is just like visual design explorations. So for instance, if this were to be like a real fully fleshed out app, like what's the ideal visualization? I think that could help level up your work. And by no means does your work, in general, I think your work looks pretty good, but yeah, again, with the note taking, I think there's a lot of things you could just explore visually that would make your work stand out a bit. I think the note taking app is really interesting, and yeah, just showing like different types of cards or different ways to deal with anchor points or pointing the user to where their anchor point is. I honestly feel like you're on the cusp of bringing it to the next level, and with minimal effort you could actually boost all of these. But again, I think the portfolio is super impressive, and if you don't have a job in XR already, I would be surprised that if you couldn't find one. Yeah, so you're working at Medium right now. That's cool. Yeah, I think your work is dope. Keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, it took me, honestly, as an interaction designer, it took me a while to really understand the importance of visual design. I was always about the substance of the content, the idea that I was communicating or the interaction that I was presenting. And, after many years, I realized like the visual appeal is such an important way to get people to engage with your work, and for non-technical people to understand the value that you're already bringing to the table. So that's kind of why I'm bringing it up. And again, like I do think everything here looks pretty good. But I still think if you just like work on that a little more, you could bring your work to another level. Okay. And someone in the chat wrote, looks good. Let's go to Pravar Prasad. Oh, here we are. And he says, right now, I'm in a pre-final year design student. I'm planning to apply for internships this summer in interaction and visual design. I would really like to improve my portfolio and get as much feedback as possible before transferring the links to companies. All right. So I like how there's kind of like a consistent look between all of these. Let's start with this. It's called Dress Up, a Better Experience. Dress Up, a Better Experience. To design a solution that can reduce the time spent by women and men of ages between 16 years to 30 years old when deciding what to wear every time they go out. Also includes designing a way to reduce the time spent on deciding a particular piece of the dress before purchasing it. Okay, so there's two factors. It's basically helping people decide what to wear and then what to purchase. I like how you have a very specific person you're going for. These are really fun. I feel like I'm going to be out of a job soon because of all you people. All you wonderful people. After analyzing the user strategy, I created two personas to represent two major sets of users for reliable reference. 22, 24-year-old. Got user flows. Damn, man. You really have done a lot of thinking on this. We got two pretty nice app icons, typography, icons, screens. This is an epically long project. And it's also very pretty, so congrats on all the visual design. I know this probably took you a long time to do. Let's go to one or two more and then I'll get into the feedback. Plan buddy problem brief. To understand how people 16 to 35 plan their free time and identify problems faced by them while doing so. Also create a solution that helps them reduce the amount of time spent in making plans. So they're both about planning, which is interesting. I think you have really nice color palettes, and I love your illustrations as well. Like, these are really, really nice. Competitive analysis, book my show. Okay. Another very beautiful project. I love how thorough everything is. Hope you're not offended if I'm scrolling too fast. Smart Bike concept app. Okay. Project goals. Okay, designing ways to enhance the relationship between the customer and his bike by allowing him to personalize a few features of the bike sharing. Okay, so we have a lot going on. It's kind of interesting. It's very much the same format for all of them. So, I mean, from what I'm getting, you have a very clear process with how you work. And you're very good at visual design. And I am under the impression that you're really good at taking a lot of information and presenting it in a digestible way that a lot of other people could use it. You're about to apply for internships. So I guess the only thing I would say is, I think in general the type of work you show is what will draw certain types of companies to hire you. So your first two projects are about planning, whether it be planning what you're going to wear or planning your free time. So I would just say that, like, make sure, I don't know what you're most excited to do or what type of companies you want to work for, but I would imagine like any company that has some sort of planning aspect to their product would love to have you. in general, I also think you show a lot of amazing skill in terms of digesting and communicating and in visual design, and also like helping with bigger picture thinking and like product positioning, that sort of thing. So I can imagine lots of companies being interested in working with you. But again, I would just say that I think a lot of people will find you based on similar interests. So I would just ask you to like take a look or ask yourself like, what's the type of thing I want to do most, and make sure you have a project that's in that same industry. So whether it be biking, planning, music, and then these three look a little bit different from the others. Actually, this one too is. So these are like poster designs and illustrations. And this one is more like video gamey. I'm choosing the right, or defining the control scheme. Yeah, I would just be very clear, or I know like, especially when you're a student, it's hard to know, oh, I want to work for this company. So it may be hard to answer that last question I just asked, but I guess I just ask yourself, like, what are the 4 products you're most excited about? Is it like iTunes or Spotify or Uber or whatever it might be, and try and put something in your portfolio in a similar space. Because when you do, let's say it is Uber, for instance, or Lyft, when you go in for an interview, the folks at Lyft or Uber will have thought through a lot of similar things, and you having, even if you came to a very different result, you having thought about that before will change the way you articulate yourself about it, and I think in general it will just help your interview. I also personally always recommend having a like a keynote or presentation in your interview. So I never go into an interview and actually show my portfolio. Portfolio is more just to like get your foot in the door and also give first impressions or be connected to folks. But in person, I would always basically take what I have here and put it in a keynote, and then I'd expand upon it based on who I'm interviewing with. Overall, I just say really great work. This is super awesome, and for being an undergrad, having this many projects, and also I haven't clicked all of them, but I think these first 4 have really good visual fidelity. So you should be really proud of yourself, and I should be scared of losing my job. So nice work. Kudos to Pravar. All right. We have 3 more folks. I'm going to take a sip of water as a break. All right. Let's go to Shaun. Okay. Intention is to eventually work at Apple, Google, Facebook, Spotify if the right opportunity comes up. I took a look at Shaun's work earlier, and he's super legit. He's working full-time at this place, Deliveroo, and he worked at Us too before. So it's cool to see people at different levels. I'll do my best to try and give you some relevant feedback. It's cool that you know exactly which companies you're interested in. So let's take a look. And if anyone at Deliveroo is watching, he says eventually, so don't you worry, he's not leaving right now. So actually I clicked on this before, and this is password protected, so that's totally cool. I think in general, whenever I see password protected, I have no problem with it. In general, it just gives me the impression that you respect people's NDAs. And actually I think it was Andrew, you could do something like this for your Medium post. To kind of express, hey, I've done some legit work here, but I'm not able to show it yet. And if you're allowed to show it under closed doors, then you can give the password. So let's check out cuisine shortcuts. Really nice hero image. I love the website design. Duration, lead product designer. So the app at Deliveroo was going under redesign. It's cool to see. Let's check out the video.
It's like coming out again. The focal point of the photo is
Food photography.
This feels natural.
I once was at a food photo shoot. It's pretty fun. Let's see, bagels, desserts. Fill out the top 10 cuisines for all Deliveroo markets. It's cool. So that it's cool to show like the full process, you know, like of how to figure out what assets you actually need to have, then actually shooting it and then making it work. You know, when it comes to like real work at real companies, there's so much nuance in each of these and friction points that like actually going through it, I think has immense value. And I think the key thing would be like in the in-person interview, like all this stuff would come out. But I think for portfolio, the amount you're showing is great. All right, working with to implement iOS is cool. Uh-oh, did not mean to zoom in. Enhance. Okay, live demo. This is awesome. This is cool, and he's showing his impact based on real data analytics. This is cool. Yeah, I think this is like perfect amount. People will just want to dig into the details, like, oh, how important is this data to you, and like, what's your? I mean, you do show your process here as well, but like, what's the process with working with the team, and how do you get decisions approved, and how do you deal with other disciplines like engineering and producers? Pixel live wallpapers. 3 live data wallpapers from Google's Pixel phone. This is a bit interesting project. You know, this idea of dynamic wallpapers, which is fairly new and interesting. And this I believe is a real project that was shipped. I think it's pretty cool. If there's some, or is this Google's marketing video or blog post? Blog post. Yeah, I basically just say like, if you can blow this project out a little bit more, like actually put the videos from it onto your site. Maybe like have some sort of graphic to explain the logic between choosing different colors instead of the Excel embed. It's a cool project though. And Wear OS. And if you're watching in the live chat, feel free to ask any questions you like. Okay, so I'll read this. In March, Google announced a new version of Android specifically designed for smartwatches. Because the majority of experiences existed with transient card UI, they realized that they needed a collection of watch faces that would effectively act as a wallpaper for the operating system. The way that watch faces would be pre-installed with OS Okay, I think I get what's going on. Us two watch faces, cool. Us two watch faces because we'd acquire such unique. Cool. So they designed. I guess the one thing I'm not fully okay. Lead product designer, because it does sound like there's a team involved. Okay. These are pretty cool. Get it on Google Play. So I think in general, like the work is really good. I think I would work a little bit on the presentation of some of it. So like for instance, I feel like the embedded tweets and like small images don't do the work justice as well as this. So I think basically just taking some time to like blow them out into bigger images that let you see it a little bit better. But I mean, in general, I think this communicates enough to get you interviews at the places you mentioned. And yeah, like I said in the earlier portfolios, you could always blow it out in the presentation that you show to them during the interview. I mean, you essentially already did work at Google, so I would be very surprised if Google wouldn't hire you. Again, I think it just comes down to in-person interview and showing how you think and what you care about and having some alignment or synergy with the team. This is pretty cool. Yeah, I remember when Android Watch launched, it was pretty big deal for.
So prior to releasing FaceMaker, we had released 4 Android Wear apps.
Oh,
Google
this
Play,
is you. Hello.
and they had around 500,000 installs. And from that, we learned that users wanted more and more visual customization. So that was an opportunity that we saw that we could do with a new app that focuses just on that. We also saw an opportunity.
Yeah, this is awesome. Like, just a video of yourself speaking, like I think it gives people a really quick way of understanding how you think. Oh, I guess I probably spoke too soon before. Like, you do blow out a lot of this into bigger images. Yeah, these are awesome. But yeah, like also just hearing how you speak, like I guess I probably need to listen to more, but like obviously there's a lot of thought behind what you've done here, and I think just like in person presenting that, like it'll come through, and it's whether the synergy and the role ends up aligning about. I think in general your work's pretty solid, and just keep doing what you're doing. I have no doubt that you'll get whatever you want to achieve. Cool. Yeah, nice work. Okay, let's go to Luc Palombo. I have it right here. Oh. Here we go. I'm going to reload this one because there's a nice little animation here. This is cool. Let's see. My name is Luc, and I'm a creative technologist from Toronto. I'd love to be creating playful, high-fidelity prototypes in the physical interaction and AR, VR spaces. Awesome. So first off, like this like animation and in general, just having 3D on a website, a lot of people don't have that, and technically may not know how to do that. So I think this immediately gives me the impression like, oh yeah, he does like VR, AR stuff or interactive 3D stuff. So I think this is like a nice playful way to communicate that without having to say like, hey, like I think it very clearly says like, hey, I'm a creative technologist, and that's what you're interested in. So we got some projects and a motion reel and experiments. This is probably the coolest thing. I just love this idea. It's so simple, but so fun. I have a lot of nostalgia for these decks also. I forget what they're called. Tech deck or something. Okay. Connected. Marketing design with a particular focus on branding and digital presence for Connected, a rapidly growing product development firm in Toronto. Connected's website and brand went through 2 design iterations while I was working there. For the first iteration for then Connected Lab, I designed an all-new careers page in collaboration with the creative director. This page was features a unique new ticker element meant to show the abundance and variety of internal events that Connected hosts. Cool. We have some images of the site, branding, fun animated illustration. Oh, cool. There's something in the chat. Let me see what that is real quick. Just want to say 2 things. First, roast me. Okay. I've also got an AR project nearly ready to publish, so some suggestions for how to share that project would be very welcome. Cool. All right. I'll try and do that, and I will try and roast you a little bit too. And founded an XR club. Under construction. It's a brutalist website builder for the masses. Today's websites are too boring, true, too unoriginal, and too perfectly user-friendly. There was a growing movement of creatives that showcase their work with websites that are exactly the opposite. Wild and original, user-unfriendly experiences, using harsh typography and colors often called brutalist websites. These are all super cool. My buddy Alan Yu, no, did I spell his name wrong? Is it an A? Yeah, sorry Alan. Yeah, he has some fun stuff in this brutalist aesthetic too. I love his like crossed out copyright too. Okay, so I get what you're doing. You're basically making it easier for people to make kind of like cool and different websites. And I mean, what you're doing here is pretty impressive to make a website editor that you can save and commit and have UI options like this is really nice. Okay, I'm gonna try and go through a few projects before giving too much feedback. Poster generator. So from the second project and third project, the brutalist project and this one, I'm getting the sense that you enjoy doing like generative design, and I think aesthetically you have some something really nice going on. Like you clearly have an eye for aesthetics, and there is a certain style that you like. And I guess I would just say like keep embracing that and see how that evolves. That's cool. I have like a custom UI over here with the dial. Yeah, so you also build like generative tools, which is pretty cool. Printer boy. I think Vimeo sometimes struggles with the playback. It's a place whose encourages a fun interaction with paper itself. That's cool. Snap a quick selfie or choose a photo from your phone library. Kind of interesting. It's like Instagram AR filter creator, but then it prints out. So I think like these 3 projects all communicate something very specific in that like you're into a visual style, a mashup of things, and creating generative tools to allow normal people to be able to make this stuff. So you making it accessible to people who don't code. I'm gonna also do experiments real quick. So we got some 3D stuff. Did I read what you said you were doing? Yeah. You want to create playful and high fidelity prototypes and physical interaction. Yeah, I mean, I think in general, like you're showing a lot of that. I guess I would, if you do want to do like AR, VR stuff, like this printer boy is kind of AR because you're kind of creating like an Instagram style AR filter, but I would just like suggest making another project that specifically focuses on the aspects of AR, VR you like. I don't know if it was intentional that you're really into this generative creation, user-generated content space. If you are, then maybe make something in the same vein for AR, VR. This project also is interesting because I think it's good you have it. It's very different, but it does show that like you know how to work with real teams and collaborate and communicate. I think, I mean, there's always a way to, no matter how good you are, there's always a way to present something in a visually more exciting or pretty way. So like, I think, like these are obviously the Apple screenshot of the website in the browser, but you could like have like a giant like perspective thing of the website, have like 2 of them. There are different ways I think you could show it that would make it a little more flashy. And I think these illustrations are awesome. But it is a debate because like, I don't know if you want to be an illustrator, but it is cool to see that you can do some animation or even make like some AR app that uses this type of visual skill or interest. Let's see if there's anything in the bot. I'm trying to think if there's because you did say to roast you. I'm trying to think if there's anything critical I could help with. Oh, you said that there's an AR project you're nearly ready to publish. So I guess I was saying that. How can you share that project? So just how to share that project. Yeah, it's a little, I think, first off, just having it exist on your website is a huge step forward. I know a lot of designers are scared to show things because, especially with interaction design, things are never complete and everything's always changing, so it feels outdated so quickly. But I do think it's hugely important to just like put it up there and not be too self-conscious because you don't know what part of it is going to resonate with someone. In terms of like how to make an AR project look really, really good, I don't know. I mean, I would definitely, like I said in earlier portfolio reviews, like focus on some of the visual design aspects of it. I think, I don't know, I would just look at other designers whose work you like and see how they present AR applications. like Morden Just is an amazing designer. Let's see if he has some of his AR projects here. Yeah, he does a ton of different stuff. So I just like look at other people and see how they present their work. Video formats, obviously, like probably the highest fidelity way to communicate it. And every designer is different, you know, like certain people are just trying to convey concept. Other people are trying to sell something and they want to have that visual polish. I had another AR designer I was going to show you, but I'm forgetting who it is now. I'd also look at like how other people present their AR experiences. There's this idea of like presenting it in context in a screen. I mean, again, I think video is clearly like the way AR is best experienced. So definitely show some videos. I think depending on what the project is, show some of the tooling or scripts that you wrote. Not actually showing the script, but communicating what challenges you had to overcome, whether it be shaders or just like interface stuff, like interface decisions. Yeah, it's a little hard for me to comment more without actually seeing it. But I think in general, your work is really interesting. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, again, just like showing more AR VR projects will get you the AR VR job. I think it's as simple as that. And I think I think these 3 projects are very much showing like generative visual tools, and I think that could get you a job in the generative visual tool space. Not to say it can't get you a job in AR VR, but again, like this type of work will draw that type of company to reach out to you. So like I could see like Figma Design or something being interested based on these 3 projects or 4 projects. All right. I'm going to leave 1 second in case you have another question, since I think you're live with me here. All right, I'm going to jump to the last person, Sandeep. Here we go. Sandeep, I currently work as a UI UX designer, and I realize that the work I am finding in the industry as a UI UX designer is not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in visual storytelling primarily. I'm inspired by the work of people like Chris Milk, interactive music videos, Ben Barry, designer at OpenAI, Mike Daly, Australian interactive filmmaker, and the work done at places like Google Creative Lab. I would appreciate any feedback, advice on where should I draw boundaries for what new skills I should acquire. I hope to be a designer director type person, how to find collaborators and just sell my work. Okay, cool. Yeah, all these people you should look up. They do really cool stuff. But let's look at your work. Advising checking. All right. Cool. So it's like a check-in process. Awesome. I love how you have like at the end of the project the results from it as well as the next steps. I'm going through it particularly quickly because I know you said you want to be doing kind of different work, so I'm trying to just get a sense of what you're doing already. You've done a lot of work, my friend. Let's see. Results, credits. Okay, I think I know what's going on here. And honestly, this is a sentiment a lot of people feel that they have. You know, they get good at something. Like, I think you've probably done UX UI design for a decent amount of time. Let's see what this is about. And you know, you're kind of excited about something that's similar, but also at the same time different. And you know, I've been in this situation myself many times, where I've been designing, let's say, for instance, like an operating system for a company, and let's say I'm more interested in like entertainment design and finding the way to do that. I remember specifically I was at Google working on an operating system, and I was definitely more inspired by a lot of the entertainment design that I saw. Not always entertainment, but I guess kind of like spirited applications, things, or content. I guess content is such a broad word these days, but I guess I call it app experiences rather than, let's say, utilitarian websites or UIs or tools. And you know, again, this is just my perspective. I think the best way to get yourself to be doing the work you want to be doing is to spend nights and weekends working on it. I remember at that time when I was at Google, I would basically I was inspired by this 3D artist named Beeple, and he would post one new piece of work every single day. So I basically took it on myself, and for 500 days I tried to post something in the same vein and learn the skills that I needed to pivot. And again, there's a lot of overlapping skills, but it still requires practice in the different content area to get good at it, even if you're familiar with whatever Photoshop, Sketch, or C#, Unity, whatever it is. It still requires practice. So, I mean, let's see if I can find this so you can see. That is not it. Yeah, so this was the Tumblr I had when basically, maybe I'll go to archive. Basically, every day I was trying to learn something new. And basically just every single night I would try and make something a little bit more in like the entertainment, app content, app experience, character, 3D world that I was actually excited to work in. And once, I don't know when it was exactly, I think it was in 2016, I had like all this stuff. I mean, I'll just show some of it if it ever loads. Now I was learning how to like code 3D particle systems, learning how to 3D model, even though it's a very bad model. But you know, I had a plethora of work in this area, and then kind of an opportunity. I think in general, like certain opportunities present themselves to you, and if you've already put in the work, you show them what you've done, and they say, "Great, we trust that you can do it." And that's when I switched over to the Google VR team. And it may sound like an easy transition because they're like both within the same company, but if I didn't have this work showing that I could actually do stuff in the 3D space, I think it would have been a lot more difficult. And in general, like your passion comes through if you actually put in the time and energy to do that type of work. So I think based on your question, it's probably not worth going through this website, but it's really about getting some projects in there that start to touch on the things that inspire you. Just from the people you mentioned, I understand that work is very different, at least again in output, not necessarily in skill. So I just encourage you to put in the time to try and do it. And you don't need to post it publicly. You can do it just for yourself. I like putting things publicly just because it gave me social, that's not the right word, but gave me I'm missing the word, not responsibility, someone that was social accountability. So even though no one really cared about what I was making, the idea that I needed to post it for other people every single day made me feel accountable and actually follow through with doing the work. I love how shitty some of these 3D models are, but I guess some of them I still like. But anyway, I think you just asking this question, you know what you want, and unfortunately you have to give up something to get there, and that's probably a decent chunk of your free time. I would just say, like, don't burn yourself out. Try and do it responsibly. Like, maybe just an hour every night, like time box it so you're not like staying up till whatever past midnight or whenever it is that you need to sleep to feel rested in the morning. Oh, no problem, Sandeep. It's good to have you here on the live stream. I think unless I'm going to leave another like minute or two for anyone to ask a question on the live stream, but I think otherwise we're probably done. I always love looking at my old work. I hope it doesn't seem too narcissistic, but it brings back memories for me, and also a completely different way in which I was thinking at the time. So it's fun to kind of compare myself to how I think today. I'm going to leave just one more minute because I do think there's a delay on the live stream from when I speak to when you hear it. So like my first time learning how to do different typology for rigging joints. All right. I don't see any questions, so thank you for tuning in. I hope this was helpful, at least to the 6 people. Again, if there's anything I said that you don't like, feel free to throw it out. Hopefully I said something that was helpful to you, and if you like this type of video, let me know, and maybe we can do another in the future. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.